I remember a time when we didn't have it so easy, when we had to work for our news, when we didn't get 2 games on Monday night, and when we didn't get highlights even all that often during the games that were being played on Sunday. And I've been tweeting about it. And let's look at what I've been tweeting. And this is one that is a blast from the past for those of us of a certain age. And you young folks gather around and let Grandpa tell you a story about how it used to be when you watched the NFL on Sunday. Remember the 10-minute ticker? Take a look at this sweet bastard. I tweeted, we used to wait every 10 minutes for our NFL scores, and we were damn glad of it. Who got that touchdown for New England? Well, you, maybe Chris Berman. I'll tell you in about 6 hours when you tune in to NFL Prime Time. Remember that? Look at that. I don't know. Did Tony Eason throw a touchdown pass? Did Irving Fryer come through for my fantasy team? Perhaps John Stevens, the fullback, punched one in from 1 yard out. I simply do not know what happened in Foxborough. And I now bring in the international streaming star from Nashville, Tennessee, Ronnie T-Shirts, joins me as always. Ronnie, do you remember how real the struggle used to be for our NFL news, scores, and updates?
So, as I've mentioned countless times to you, I was a Bills fan when I was a kid, and I just remember sitting watching whatever game. I'm sure I was watching a Browns or a Bengals game because that's what I got in Columbus, and just waiting with bated breath for that score to roll through to see how the Bills were doing. And there's part of me that misses that because now we know we can see every single play if you have red zone, but even if you're out and you're just looking at your phone, you can see what every play is. So you know everything that's going on, you know everything that's happening at every single second of every game. And we do miss out on the fun of that anticipation of seeing how your team's doing as they lead you throughout the day with the 10-minute tickers and just other things. Ricky, how about the fact that we'd watch games and we wouldn't even know how much time was left in the game because they didn't have the clock in the corner. And hell, now, like,
or
could you imagine watching a game? Could you watch it? Could you imagine watching a game without seeing the first down line? Like, it's crazy. But
the first down line was so weird to me when they introduced it, Ron. It took me a while to get used to it. And now you just take it for absolute granted. I'd be fucking lost if I didn't have the first down line. And we take for granted that we always know the score, the situation, and the time on the clock. And we had none of those things. Remember the time on the clock when they would show it would just be a tightly cropped picture of the scoreboard that they would put down in the corner of the screen.
Yeah. So the other part of this, kind of the whole big story, the whole big package of what life was like for us when we were kids, is we know now that at the minimum we have red zone and we could get to watch every important play of every game. And if you've got NFL Sunday Ticket, you just choose whatever game you want to watch. But when we were kids, dude, probably my biggest day of the week was Thursday, getting home from school, because that's when the TV guide would be in our mailbox. And I would grab that thing and I would furiously turn to Sunday to see what NFL games were going to be on, and just praying that maybe the Bills game would be on. And every once in a while it was, and it was like the greatest feeling ever. And so we don't, as much as we have everything now at our fingertips and our disposal, we don't have that joy of what we had when we were little kids. I mean, I'd still rather have what we have today, but there is something awesome about what that all felt like.
Checking box scores in real time now. I remember how exciting it was back in the late 80s playing fantasy football because I was in early on fantasy football. And I remember running out to the mailbox on Monday morning, just to see what the stats were for my players. Here's one for you, Ron. We live in an era now where concussion protocols and safety and all of those things are so paramount within the game, knowing what we know now about CTE. But have a look at Don Maynard here. I tweeted, this is an older one. This is kind of a evergreen classic at this point in the Super 70s library. But I tweeted, when asked why his helmet didn't have a chin strap, Don Maynard replied, "Know what else I don't have? Ovaries." Can you imagine electing by choice? This guy's a wide receiver and he's playing in a single bar without a chin strap. Chin strap, I don't need it. I'll be fine. It was such a different world, Ron. I mean, we had Joe Theismann, or as I like to call him sometimes, Joe Namath, on the program. Joe Namath, who was chucking bombs to Don Maynard back in the day. But Joe Theismann playing the position with a punter's face mask. We don't even see punters nowadays wearing that face mask. So much has changed, and it's hard to believe, really, if you're like a young person. I mean, Don Maynard played pretty much before I was born. I think his career bled over to me being a toddler, but he's been retired for 50 years or more at this point, I think. It's hard for, I think, anybody much younger than us to conceive of the way that the NFL was when we were kids. The idea that you just went out there and, we played earlier. I don't think we played it on this show because we can't, but I tweeted some time ago, Ron, do you remember it was the opening to the CBS NFL Today in the 70s? And virtually every single play that's in the opening to the show would be a penalty and or a fine and suspension.
Oh,
today
100%, 100%.
It was just guys ripping dudes' heads off, dropping them on their head. And not only was it acceptable, it was celebrated. It was
the marketing
celebrated.
tool.
I mean, yeah, it hasn't even been that long ago that the ESPN, I think it was ESPN, didn't they used to do the thing where they would say he got jacked up?
Yeah.
And
yes.
they would celebrate
yes.
these hard hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the league made them stop doing that. And that's not even that long ago. Now it's like if somebody gets hit hard, immediately it's concern is our first thing. And I get it. But the injury carts, for instance, right? Like you used to have team helmet injury carts that would come out. And I'm not sure if this is an injury card or it's just a display of Houston Oilers pride and power. You know how China would just have their military displays now and then, Ron? They just get all their impressive shit out and run it down the streets. This may be what the Houston Oilers were doing, but have a look at this. I said if you could get this up to 75 miles an hour, I'd make it my primary means of transportation, Ron. I would just go to the grocery in that. I would take road trips. I'd probably drive more if I had that. But just look at that. What happened to it? If that thing still existed, I would go 5 figures. I would go 5 figures to buy that. And there would be somebody that would outbid me probably as well. But look at that thing, man. It's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Look at that helmet. One of the greatest unforced errors of all time. The Houston Texans should have made a deal with the Titans to get their name back, and they should have resuscitated the Houston Oilers branding. The Houston Texans is not the same thing. It's not even close. And they fucked up, Ron.
Yeah, that doesn't really make a lot of sense that they didn't do that. But, we're talking about helmets. I thought was kind of I don't want to say it was a joke, but I had heard that they might start wearing those Guardian helmets in games, and I didn't believe it, because you'd see them in practice and stuff like that. with it just completely, totally exposed. And you could see all the different, like, the cushions and everything. And there had been an announcement. I was like, well, there's just no way that that's going to happen. And I think almost every game now, I see at least a player who has one of those Guardian helmets on. Yep, there we go. And they put that dye sublimated kind of stretchy thing over the top of it to make it like look like a regular helmet. And I just see a lot more players wearing them now. And I think that just like everything else, Ricky, things change and we're gonna, yep, there we go.
Look at that. No, I'm sorry. That ain't it. Listen, maybe football's just not for you. I'll tell you somebody that you're not going to see wearing it, and that's Tua. Yeah, look at that guy. I see that guy every time the Rams are on. I look for that guy and I see him. And I think, you know what, pal? Go sell insurance. Maybe football's just not for you. I respect it. Sometimes you just got to hang them up, go do something else. I don't even know. Do they work better? Well, do we have scientific evidence that these fucking things prevent concussions more? Or is this like wearing a cloth COVID mask? It just gives you a psychological boost more than it actually makes a difference.
Did you see what Ed Reed said last night on the Manning cast? He actually started talking about it, and you could tell it made Peyton really uncomfortable because he was basically saying, what is it? What is it? This thing doesn't do anything. He goes, this isn't how you get concussions. You get concussions by getting hit in the jaw. And he started making comments about boxing, and you could just tell Peyton probably had his Tim in his ear going, end this, get him off this subject. And it was pretty wild to actually see.
Well, I don't know if you heard or not. I mean, our own, OutKick's own great Armando Salguero, friend of the program, said that there's data out there that indicates that the Guardian cap is not making a material difference in concussions over regular helmets. So as I said, Tua, Miami's quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be like everybody else. I think we've all made a tacit agreement as a society that his name is just Tua. He's like Prince. He's like
Pele.
Cher. He's like Pele. He's just Tua now. That's just how it is. I feel like he understands. He addressed this actually with the press just recently. Let's take a look at what he had to say about the Guardian cap.
Mm-hmm. Did that discussion come up in the last
Nope. Nope. None of that.
Would you wear a Guardian cap?
Nope.
Why?
Personal choice.
Are you, will this change your style of play, your decision to scramble or run or things like that?
It's got to be smart. That's it. It's got to be smart. My entire time playing football, I've been a competitor, and that, was sort of my edge when I would run from high school. Even in college, I would do the same thing. But it's a professional, setting. This is the professional level, the best of the best. You just can't be doing that. So definitely gotta stay more available for the team, for the organization, for our guys.
So immediately, Ron, I like this guy even better. This guy is like one concussion away from probably being forced into retirement. And he's like, you know what? I'm not wearing that fucking thing.
Ricky,
I respect him for it.
His answer was, it's a personal choice. But what I heard was, I ain't no bitch.
Yes, I heard that as well. Now, also, again, Armando Salguero reporting that there may not actually be a benefit to it. So It's possible that Tua looked into this and decided that there wasn't a material difference. And if there's not a difference, why do that? So I'm not sure where he's coming from, but man, it's like at some point we're just going to have to throw in the towel and say that this is going to be flag football if we get to a certain degree. I mean, right? It's just, and everybody knows going in, some things are more dangerous than others. Some people are coal miners, right? Yeah. And your job is more dangerous. Somebody's out there working on an oil rig somewhere. Well, you're not some pencil pusher in an office. Some jobs are more dangerous. So it's like if you want to play football at a high level, you're just going to have to take a certain amount of concussion risk, and we're all just going to have to accept that this is reality, and there's only so much that you can limited.
Yeah.
In my view, I mean, it's easy for me to say, Ron, but it's like, come on. At a certain point, what are we doing?
Well, my understanding is that there's not a single player in the NFL that's actually forced to play in the NFL. It's all choices. So, like you said, there's a lot. I mean, could you imagine how dangerous being out on an oil rig is? And you know what? Guys that are on oil rigs get paid a ton of money compared to guys doing similar, labor jobs on land. And so they know what they're getting themselves into. Listen, I don't think they should just perform for my pleasure. And if they get hurt, they get hurt. And I don't care. Like, if there's some reasonable things that you can do that they don't have to just get jacked up, as you said before, but nobody is forcing them to play. They know the risk going in, just like race car drivers and oil rig workers and every job, right? So I agree with you, Rick.
Well, Ron, it's a choice that everybody's going to have to make for themselves. Look, if I had an opportunity to make NFL money, I'd wear a helmet that was as big as a mascot head, probably, if that's what I thought it was going to take to keep me employed in the league for a couple more years. So I do understand why people make business decisions. I get that, but it's a choice. And speaking of choices, I've got another one for America today, because let's take a look at America's poll, Ronnie. I asked the hard question. Some people say that I am the Mike Wallace of my generation. I like to put this country on the hot seat every goddamn day, Ron. And that's just what I've done once again here on this fair October Tuesday. The choices today, Ronnie, we've got country music, which, I know that you're a rap and a hip hop guy. You live in Tennessee. You know more about Morgan Wallen than I do. Where do you stand on country music? I don't think you and I have ever clarified that.
Yeah, so I've just never really been a country music fan, and even living here for almost 10 years, I really haven't really adopted the whole country music thing. I don't despise it. I don't dislike it. I used to at one point. I don't like twangy country, like old country. But now it seems like the country music's kind of morphing into more pop and a little bit more hip hop. Like Morgan Wallen has, some hip hop tracks under a lot of his songs. So I actually like that. I'm a big Hardy fan now, but Hardy, I would argue, is more rock than he is country music. So I don't know. I think country music is really popular, but I don't know how country music's going to play with your audience. So I don't think that's going to be a huge one there. Toy Story, I watched it a couple times when Tyler was little, and I did like it. Ric Flair obviously is Ric Flair. Mac and cheese, man. If you would have added lobster mac and cheese.
Great analysis, Ron. That's tremendous analysis on Ric Flair, by the way. That's what we bring you in here for, is to break it down like that.
I'm not a big wrestling fan, dude. You know that. If you'd have made that lobster mac and cheese, It would have ran away with it. It would just absolutely ran away with it. But I picked mac and cheese.
I've never had lobster mac and cheese, bro. And I don't know who Hardy is either.
Oh my gosh. Well, at some point, the next time we're in the same place together, I'm going to take you to a restaurant. You're going to have lobster mac and cheese. It's freaking amazing.
All right, I'm in. I'll listen to one Hardy track. So pick the best one.
All right, I'll send you my favorite. I'll send you my favorite Hardy song, and you listen to that. All right.
Yeah, for real. Do that. All right. Well, Look, I'm voting for Ric Flair because I'm a goddamn patriotic American man. So it's an easy choice for me today. I don't know how easy it's going to be for America. I don't know how easy it's going to be for producer Tim, but we're going to ask him to make his call, as he always does. Look at this. It's teasing macaroni and cheese. Well, Ron, it looks like Ric Flair and macaroni and cheese are the choice of America. Between the two, they're bringing in about 2/3 of the votes. Country music just a little bit ahead of Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, I think that's on brand for your audience.
We like wrestling and food. Just
Pretty
get
much.
yourself a bowl of mac and cheese, put on some old school wrestling clips and have at it. I like old school country music. I'm the opposite of you. I don't give a fuck about the new stuff, but give me some Johnny Cash, give me some George Jones,
Hank Williams.
Give me a little Willie Nelson, Hank Williams. Hell yeah, Hank Williams, Patsy Cline. That's the country music that I enjoy. The modern country pop stuff doesn't really appeal to me so much. The Toy Story movies are good. They just are. I think all of them are good. What have we had now? 4, I believe. So. The third one's kind of fucked up though. Isn't that the one with lots of hugs? They just end up strapping him to the front of a 18-wheeler, and it almost is like a horror movie. It's like the toys are going to hell at one point. I know some people out there that are listening to this remember what I'm talking about. Toy Story 3 got a little dark, but all of those movies are good, Ron. We'll check back in and see what happens, but with over 5,000 votes in, it's going to take a pretty big comeback by Mac and Cheese to catch the Nature Boy.
Yeah, Ric Flair's got this.
Ron, all right, buddy. Look, normally you operate in the C block. We get to the C block and I figure, hey, we're an hour into a great show. How bad can Ron possibly fuck it up? It's kind of my mentality. So I hand you the keys to the Buick Regal like I'm your dad in 1980, and I say, here, son, take it and go. But the way that we have organized this show today, we're mixing things up a little bit, and it's bright lights, big city. Because I'm going to ask you earlier in this program by far than I ever have before, the question that is always on my mind, just not quite this soon. Which is, what the fuck, Ron?
It's a lot of pressure, Ricky.
What the fuck, Ron? It's a lot of pressure. I hope that you bring your A game. You have lots of eyeballs on you. We're all rooting for you. Godspeed.
So, some girl named Maya Marara, I think I'm pronouncing it right. She probably hopes so that I'm not because of what I'm about to say. She's a writer for Newsweek. She wrote what I think is quite possibly the dumbest article in the history of articles. So I want you to think about how many articles have been written, Ricky. And I think we have the dumbest one ever. So yesterday, Newsweek tweeted, Donald Trump has shared what is likely an AI-generated image on his Truth Social account showing him as a player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Have you seen this picture?
I have not.
Well, let's look at it.
I usually do not.
Let's
I deliberately
look at it,
don't look
we?
at what the fuck Ryan content, so we get an authentic reaction from me. So.
All right. They felt it was necessary, Ricky. They felt it was necessary.
I believe that's from Super Bowl 14. I believe Trump was the special teams guy for the Steelers back then. Is Newsweek checked into this fully? I seem to recall him getting some run. He won a ring with the Steelers back, I believe that was the 1979 season there. No? You're telling me that's not real, Ron?
No, it's not, Ricky. And I'm so grateful for the fine journalists over at Newsweek for taking their time out to publish this article. So the headline, so I read to you what the tweet headline was. This is what the actual tweet or the actual headline to the story said. It says, Trump posts fake image of himself as star NFL player. Like, okay. So
there's no
I'm going to go ahead.
Evidence this ever occurred, Ron.
Yeah, well,
his torso has been altered. His arms aren't that muscular, Ron. It's like do you think Newsweek's going to report on the avatar for the Ricky Cobb show?
I think they might.
My forearms aren't as muscular in real life.
So one of the best things about this tweet was the responses were fantastic. They were absolutely fantastic. And so there is one in there, and I hope that they have it that they can show. This one, Tim Mead asks, "Is this real?" Newsweek. Like, it's so good.
Wow. There's no evidence that Donald Trump ever played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, I don't know. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Jesus. Was that for real? Were they just
100%
was it for real?
Yes, these people
How can
are
you be-
reaching. They're
Man.
reaching now, man. They're reaching. So as I led, I think we have the dumbest article in the history of articles. I mean, it's almost like it was a Babylon Bee article, which we all know are.
If that is indeed earnest and genuine, it is one of the stupidest things that I think I've ever seen. So,
but just the fact that in the article, they're like, we've seen pictures of him that he's posted on when he's playing golf, and his arms just don't look like that in those pictures. We have reason to believe that might be a doctored photo. Like, these people are fucking insane, Ricky. Like, they are trying so desperately to have Trump not be the president that it's to the point where it's comical now. It's just comical. I think they're trying to out-stupid each other. So Maya at Newsweek, you won. You out-stupided everybody.
Well, there you go. Journalism obviously isn't dead, Ron. I thought I declared myself the Mike Wallace of my generation. Apparently it's, what's her name?
Maya Marrara.
Say her name.
Maya Marrara.
Well, she's the Mike Wallace of this generation, obviously. What else you got happening, Ronnie? What the fuck?
All right. So one of the writers at OutKick, David Hookstead, who I think is just absolutely fantastic. I love everything that he puts up. He wrote a story that happened out in Park City, Utah. And there was this guy, his name is, I want to make sure I get it right, give him his due, Gary Peacock. Gary Peacock is an older gentleman, and he was riding his bike, and he thought that this kid, Pierce Kempton, got too close to him. So he follows this Pierce Kempton into a park where this kid was going to skateboard. And he just starts going off on this kid, and the kid remained so calm, and this guy just kept pushing the door. The kid wanted to get out, and he's pushing the door. He calls the police. The police come out, and in this fantastic twist, Ricky, this cop goes and looks at the kid's video, because the kid was videotaping this guy, Gary Peacock. And the guy was like, you committed a crime, Gary Peacock. And so this Gary Peacock guy is now facing charges. I believe it was disorderly conduct. And it was just fantastic. A lot of times on the internet, you'll see stuff and there's not a payoff that you're looking for. And the payoff was here. So I actually tweeted the article. So it's on so at Ronnie T-shirts, or just go to OutKick. Watch the article. David included video from both ends. This is one of those things, I just see it in your eyes, Ricky. You're going, why are you doing this, Ron? It's hard right now probably to pick up what I'm laying down.
Do we have any footage, audio?
I don't know.
I don't
know if we do.
No.
We do, I'm being told.
Oh, there we go.
Dude, literally stop.
No, I'm calling the police and you're not leaving. You're not leaving.
Yes, sir.
Did you see me?
Pulled off to the side, I did. I have it on dash cam. You and Nick did. I'm gonna go skate.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. You're not. You're not going anywhere until the police come.
Dude, stop.
No, you're a fucking...
Dude, literally stop.
No, I'm calling the police and you're not leaving. You're not leaving. You're not leaving.
Bro's got his fucking hands on me and stuff.
Yeah, guy
Why?
won't leave because of the police.
Look at this dude. What are you doing? Why are you so cranky?
I'm calling the police. That's
Dude,
all.
why are you so cranky?
No, you're not going anywhere.
Oh my God.
You're not going anywhere.
I don't want to be aggressive with you, dude.
You already are. You pushed into me. I asked you to wait. You didn't wait.
I didn't push into
you. Did.
You.
How'd you get out of the car?
You yanked my
Yeah,
door.
I've got a very aggressive teenager here that almost hit me in the car, and now he won't give me his last name, and now he's trying to leave.
You don't get to open their door.
I didn't open his door.
You did 3 times.
No, he was trying to close his door.
He closed it because you kept opening it. All you want me to do is arrest him and take him to jail.
I was hoping he'd
Off
get it.
your word alone.
Yeah, and I'd be willing to come to court. Or somebody.
Do you want me to arrest
police.
him?
Can he be arrested? So then can I call the district attorney and press charges? Do I have to go to court for this? You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Gary Peacock wanting to make a citizen's arrest right there.
Like it was crazy.
He
dude.
thinks
like,
he's one of those cops that rides a bike, evidently.
I mean, major props to this kid Pierce, because there's no chance I would have handled it that calmly. Like this kid, like totally handled himself like perfectly. I'm sure I would have gotten very physical at that point with Gary Peacock.
You would have
trying to keep.
You would have punched him like he was a midget on the streets of Columbus, Ron.
100%.
Short King. That's right. Gary Peacock. Well, look, fuck around and find out, Karen. I think we're going to say that is Gary the male Karen now?
I think we now start.
Because,
yeah. The moral of this story is don't be a Gary Peacock. Like that's the moral of the story. But Ricky, it was crazy that this guy, how he was treated, like he thought he was the cop. You stay in this car, you give me your last name, blah, 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 blah. And then when it got turned around and the cop was like, you're going to go to, like, you are getting cited for this. They didn't show it here, but the guy's like, can we just, what if we just apologize to each other? If we do that, will it be okay? And the guy was like, nope,
well, Ron,
you asked for this.
How close did the kid actually come to him? Did you, we didn't see that footage. How near a miss was this?
They showed it real quick on there. So the policeman actually did issue Pierce a citation for what the guy said he did. And he says, look, I'm just issuing you this. You now just have to go deal with the judge and explain your side of the story. And if you're correct, it'll just go away. Well, in fact, the footage confirmed what the kid said was he didn't do anything wrong. So he didn't get the ticket. I don't know what Gary's penalty is yet, but hopefully we'll find out. But
he was trying to detain the kid. He was like he wasn't letting the kid get out of his car.
Kind of like kidnapping. It felt a little like kidnapping to me.
It's borderline technically kidnapping. I mean, I'm not an attorney. The Lakers season kicks off tonight. Can you believe we're already starting the NBA regular season?
Regular season shouldn't start till Christmas.
Well, the NBA regular season is way too fucking long, but nobody's going to give up the revenue now. If we were starting from scratch, about 50 games seems a lot more satisfying than 82. But anyway, that aside, a big deal because Bronny is most likely, I'm sure, with all of the fans in attendance, he's going to get at least a little bit of run tonight, Ron, so that history can be made and everybody that's been looking forward to this is going to get their payoff. So tonight, for the first time in the history of the National Basketball Association, we will see a father and a son suit up together and be on the court at the same time for at least a couple of minutes, I would imagine. And God forbid if Bronny gets an assist on one of his dad's baskets or something, it'll be a pretty big moment that'll go viral, I'm sure. But the cool thing here, a couple of cool things. One is the first point that Bronny scores, he and his dad will immediately become the all-time high-scoring father-son combination. All he's got to do is it's like Pete Rose and Pete Rose Jr., which I don't think they have as many hits as Bobby Bonds and Barry Bonds, but LeBron has so many fucking points, Ron. All Bronny has to do is make a layup and they pass Kobe Bryant and his dad, Jelly Bean Bryant, who are the number one all-time on the list. Number two all-time on the current list, the Currys. Steph Curry and his dad, Del Curry. Number three on the all-time list is Michael Thompson and his son, Klay Thompson. Number four on the all-time list is Draymond Green and his father, Bob Green. No, I'm just kidding. It's not all Warriors. It feels like it's all Warriors on the list. Number 4 is Dolph Schayes and Danny Schayes. And number 5 is Rick Barry and Brent Barry. So they're going to get bumped from the top 5, presumably. And probably the cooler part than the statistics, although those father-son combinations, I'm enjoying looking at those names. The Griffies are going to be there tonight, Ron. Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. in attendance. Of course, we remember the history that those two made when they became the first father-son duo, I guess the only one in the history of Major League Baseball. We haven't really seen anything like this since then. And so the Griffies are going to be in the house to give their blessing to this moment of sports history, Ron.
I'm just waiting for Caitlin Clark and her unborn daughter to do this 25 years from now. And you and I guess I'll be in the nursing home doing this from the nursing home, and we can talk about that.
In the WNBA, it's like, what are the highest scoring, like, marriages or whatever? There was some game, I forget what game it was, but somebody had passed the ball to their fiance. They're literally engaged and they're on the same team. But so the list probably looks a little different in that league.
Arnold Palmer was all man, and I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women. But this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough, and I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had to say it.
Well, there you go, Ronnie. Donald Trump in Pennsylvania yesterday, just coming, you're 2 weeks away. The election's 2 weeks away. He's got this huge rally. Obviously, everything's at stake. And he's like, listen, let me tell you something. You want to talk about a guy with a big fucking dick? I got to start with Arnold Palmer. You think it was impressive that he won the Masters 4 times, 7 major championships? Let me tell you something. This guy was packing. I don't think you understand. I don't even know. See, that's why we have the best producer in the business. He's like Arnold Palmer's like Spinal Tap. He had an armadillo in his trousers. Ron, what? I don't know. How do you get off on? How do you get distracted into talking about Arnold Palmer's junk under any circumstances? Like I remember one time, like years ago, I was at a Seattle Mariners game and I was ordering some food, and the guy ends up like telling me that how much he loved the movie 12 Monkeys. Have you ever heard of the movie 12 Monkeys? I think Bruce Willis might have been in it. I could be mistaken. Anyway, I just remember I tweeted, like, there is no chain of events of a transaction for food at a ballpark that should lead to me knowing the vendor's opinion on fucking 12 Monkeys. There is no chain of events at a political rally that should lead to a conversation about it. It's like, let me tell you something. One time Lee Trevino said, that's the biggest goddamn tool I've ever seen. I don't think that the PGA pros shower together. That's like a great thought. After the round's over, do they all just grab their towels and go into the Augusta shower room? And, let me tell you, don't drop the soap around Arnold Palmer. I didn't want to say it, but I said it. It's moments like this that I wish that I could do a Trump impersonation.
Speaking of the Masters, you don't know this, but I did sneak a peek when you took a shower at the house we were staying at. So at some point I will be telling a story.
We were all sneaking peeks at Max Homa through the bathroom window, which was overlooking Max Homa's private rental residence, literally taking a leak, looking down into the TV
sunroom
room or something. Yeah, the sunroom.
Screened-in sunroom.
I felt so weird. Like I'm literally standing there, like
holding your penis,
taking care of my business, looking down at Max Homa's residence like some kind of dirty perv, but it was either that or pee myself, Ron. I really didn't feel like I had a choice. I don't know what Trump's doing, dude. I mean, look, we got 2 weeks to go, and as always, he is the biggest wild card factor in his life, even with all the other circus elements that surround all of this, some of which are obviously out of his control. You just never know, even after all these years, what the dude is going to say when he goes out there. So we'll see what these next 2 weeks look like.
This definitely gives a new twist on when you go to a bar and you ask for an Arnold Palmer. And I have an Arnold Palmer, please.
Well, yeah.
What does that even mean?
I don't know if you could. Frankly, I don't know if you could handle an Arnold Palmer. From what I've heard, I hope that you have some KY jelly if you want an Arnold Palmer.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.